Hey y'all, so this is my fourth night trying to make this video. The last 3 nights it actually got too dark on me, and every single time I come out here trying to do a little bit lighter, and it ends up getting way too dark at the end of the video. So, way lighter now. Sun's like 1 inch above the horizon right there, so I think we should be good. But today's video is about the pair of binos I have in this harness. So this is the Alps Outdoors Extreme harness. This is what I usually use when I'm out hunting or hiking or whatever, and I usually keep my binos on this little keeper. Now this harness came with 2 keeper straps, but I only use 1 because 2 is way overkill. So this is the Vortex Viper HDs, and my specific pair is the 12x50s, and I have the Vortex Pro Bino adapter stud right up in there. This is the other half of it. So this mounts just like that. There's a little click, and then you tighten down this knob, screw at the top, and then you have a very secure glassing platform. And this is how I normally go out and hunt with this tripod and this bino adapter now, and it seems to work pretty good for me. But today's video is about the binos themselves. So I want to say I've had these for about just over 3 years, maybe 3 years and 4 or 5 months, something like that. And I absolutely love them. The glass is extremely clear. The build quality is exceptional. Obviously Vortex's warranty is incredible. So I am extremely pleased with these binos, and I think if anyone's looking into getting a pair of these, you're not going to be disappointed, like I'm not. Reasons this is great, for one, the build quality. I feel like this rubber and all this metal here on the sides and metal right here, this rubber right here, this is all just superb. I love it. I feel like these are even built better than a lot of the more expensive or similar build to some of the more expensive stuff out there. And I think a lot of the Vortex stuff, even down the line to the Diamondback and Crossfire, lower tier stuff, is built exceptionally. Obviously for this price range you're paying for way better glass. I think I paid somewhere around $530. These retail for probably somewhere around $600, maybe $580, somewhere around there. So I got a little bit of a deal on them on a sale at the local sporting goods store in my town, and you could probably find them for somewhere around $500 nowadays. But I think that is a great deal. So for binos in the similar price range of about $500 to $600, I think these are probably the best binos for that money. Even better than some of the more expensive than $600 binos, in my opinion. Obviously they're pretty cheap because these are made in China. Even the Razor line, a lot of that is made in China or Japan. The American made stuff is obviously pretty expensive, but also extremely nice, and that stuff is also probably worth it. But for this price range, this is kind of what you get. Now the glass in this is incredible, in my opinion. I've had 2 of my friends compare their binos to this pair. One guy had a Maven pair, I'm not sure which model, and the other guy had a Swarovski pair, I'm not sure which model that one either. And after comparing them for about 10 minutes each, both of those guys and I agreed that this is the better optical clarity. Build quality I think is pretty similar. We didn't really notice anything too good or too bad on any of them, but definitely optically I think that this is a fantastic pair compared to the 2 that we tested. So is that kind of weird and hard to believe? Yes, maybe I just had a really good pair and both of theirs were kind of on the bad side. I'm not entirely sure, but that just goes to show that this is not a bad pair of binoculars by any means whatsoever for a fraction of the cost as those Swarovskis were. Why did I buy this pair? So originally what got me interested was I picked these up and the build quality felt fantastic. So normally if I look at some new product at the store or whatever and I pick it up and everything just kind of feels cheap and chinky, and the adjustment knob is kind of sloppy and one side isn't the same as the other side or something like that, I give up. I just put that thing down, move on to something else. These felt extremely great when I first picked them up. So this is the new version, new body style, I guess. Vortex came out with an older one, also the Vipers, and then they switched to this one probably around 4 or 5 years ago. I remember picking these up and I was like, oh, Vipers. I've tried these before, but then when I started messing with them, I'm like, oh, this is different. This is not what I remember. And I realized that they came out with a new body style. Now they made a lot of improvements to this compared to the old one. So if you're looking at the Viper HDs, make sure you're getting the new model. The new model has Viper HD written on it, kind of like that. The old one does not. The color scheme's a little bit different. Some of this texture, these lines are a little bit different. But if you're getting the new pair, not a bad bino by any means whatsoever. So I had these on, actually I had it on a handrail, believe it or not even on a tripod. And I glassed up a bear 2.1 miles as the crow flies from where I'm at right now. Last year in April, and then I glassed up a bear in the exact same spot this year in April. And it's probably the bear that I killed this year, because I went up there that night, did not find it, went back a week later, glassed it up about a mile away from there, kind of in a different direction. Put on a stock, was not able to do that. That's all on one of my hunting videos, by the way. And then came back a week later with horses, glassed up that same bear again in the exact same spot from there, and snuck up to 45 yards and shot that bear. So I'm pretty sure it's the same bear that I glassed up from here, from my house, 2.1 miles air distance. So not a bad bino at all. Now, I would not have been able to see a cub probably. The grass was pretty high. The bear was, I mean, you could tell it was a bear, but it was still kind of like a blob. You could definitely tell the difference between like that bear and say if it was a bull elk. I'm pretty sure you could definitely tell the difference there. But you're not going to be like counting points or something like that, telling the difference between a boar and a sow at 2 miles. Now at, say, 1,000 yards, you could probably tell the difference between a boar and a sow if you're experienced. You can probably count points maybe at about 700 and less. But, you know, I went with the 12s. Obviously, like, Vortex has the 8s, they have the 10s. They have a 10 by 50, a 10 by 42, they have an 8 by 42. I'm not sure all the other magnifications they have, but my 12 by 50, I was able to glass up a bear 2.5, or almost 2, over 2 miles, sorry. What the hell am I saying? Over 2 miles away, and then glassed it up again at about 1,250 yards, put on a stock, killed it. So not a bad pair of binos by any means. You're going to pay somewhere around $500 to $600 for these. In my opinion, that is completely worth it. Now if you choose to go with the 12 power like I did, this was going to be great for if you're trying to spot game probably over 700 yards. I think would be kind of like the sweet spot. So anything over 700 to about 1,400 would be where the 12s would be great at just spotting game. You can still spot game way longer than that, further than that, like I did here at 2.1 miles. Now, anything under 500 yards, I feel like they're way too close. So, today's Thursday. On Monday this week, I was out scouting for a fall bear spot, and I was looking at a hillside probably about 500 yards, and I felt like that was way too close. So, you end up basically having to zigzag a lot more to cover that ground, as opposed to, say, if this was a 10 power, you're doing a lot less physical zigzagging. You're just going to move your eyes in the image a little bit more. And I think using your eyes to move is a lot easier than using your hands to move and like keep it from shaking and stuff. So keep that in mind. If you're going to glass under 500 yards, probably stick with a 10 power. If you're going to be doing a lot more at over 500 yards, a 12 is probably going to be good. Maybe overkill still, even at 500 yards, depending what you're doing. If you're trying to count points at 500, definitely want the 12 power. Not everyone's a point counter, so that's why I'm saying that. Now, if you're like an East Coast whitetail hunter, Midwest or Southern whitetail hunter or something, and all your shots are going to be under 100 yards, you're going to be in a tree stand, you're going to be in a ground blind in the woods or something, 12 power is going to be way overkill. I'd definitely stick to a max of 10 power, maybe even 8s, depending on the situation, but 12 is going to be overkill for pretty much anything outside of the wild, wild west like I live. I wanted the 12s because I wanted to do a lot more of the mountain hunting, so getting up pretty high, glassing various different mountain peaks and hillsides. Here in Montana, it's pretty open in a lot of areas. It's also pretty closed in a lot of areas. So if you're going to be hunting pretty thick stuff, 12 is not going to be great for you. Definitely go with like an 8 or a 10. And my father-in-law's been using a 10 power for like his whole life here in Montana, and that works for him too. So keep that in mind. You're going to be saving a little bit of weight and size going with the smaller bino. This particular one is a 50 mil. I went with the 50 because I wanted more light gathering capabilities. So a lot of your hunts are going to be first thing in the morning, later in the evening, when light's kind of low. So you just get a little bit more light coming into the binos with the 50 versus like a 42 or a 30 or something like that. So keep that in mind. You're going to obviously add a little bit of size, a little bit of weight. In my opinion, I felt like that was worth it, but it might not be for everyone. Overall, I'd give this bino an 8 out of 10. Build quality, I think, is 10 out of 10. It just feels phenomenal. This doesn't feel too tight or too loose. The interpupillary distance, whatever they call it. This feels great. Really nice audible clicks. Well, that could be a problem, I guess, for some people. But this focus ring is tight, but not too tight, and then it locks down so it doesn't move on you. This is extremely smooth. There's no choppiness to it. There's no stutter like the old model had. And the old model kind of felt all squishy and just garbage, in my opinion. That makes sense why Vortex ended up upgrading this and making a new body style. So 8 out of 10 on glass, in my opinion. So this is obviously not the top tier glass. Vortex has the Razor line. They also have the Razor UHDs. Those are definitely clear glass. You're going to be paying a lot more money for that. So if you're somebody who's into the absolute clearest, go with that. This is not the absolute clearest. And I'm all for buying the absolute clearest binos you can. It's just there's obviously the money issue constantly. So would I want to upgrade from these? Yes. Do I feel like it's a necessity? No. And I feel like this is probably a great bino even for the professional hunter like Steve Rinella and Jim Shockey who are making a living hunting. This would probably be just fine for them. But it is also extremely affordable for the not professional hunter. So I feel like this is probably the perfect bino for somebody who is serious about hunting like I am. By serious, I mean somebody who wants to do this constantly and wants to go for bear and mountain lion and wolf and deer, elk, antelope, turkeys, grouse, pheasants, whatever, all the seasons. So if you're somebody who wants to pursue wild game all year long, not just one weekend a year, or 1 week, or one trip a year, or something like that, definitely a good pair of binos. And I think any serious hunter should invest in a decent quality pair of binos, and I think this is that pair. Also, here on the ranch, like, you need to see, you're looking for a horse, you're looking for your dog, you're looking for trying to find a coyote that's running around. Maybe your neighbors are doing something and the dogs are barking, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. You're trying to find something. Not a bad idea to have a good pair of binos on the ranch as well. So overall, I give these an 8 out of 10 for optical clarity, 10 out of 10 for build quality. Now, I must say, I had a few issues. I sent these into Vortex twice. So I had it mounted on a tripod once, like this, and I was bear hunting. I was deer hunting last fall. And I got up to change. It was snowing really hard, and I bumped the tripod, and this pair of binos landed right here on the face, and the stud from the tripod adapter broke out. And sent it to Vortex. They not only replaced the insert in the binos, they gave me a new stud, gave me a bunch of stickers, sent it right back in no time. So back on the road I go. And that was my fault. The other thing was this focus ring right here. This is actually stuck on, kind of like a glued on, and I had this sitting on the dash of my vehicle for a few months in the heat, and that adhesive kind of got soft and this thing kind of popped out. So instead of trying to glue it back on myself and possibly voiding a warranty or something, I just sent it in, they glued it back in, gave me a bunch of stickers, back on the road I go. So, who would this pair of binos be good for? Like my previous video about the Ruger American rifle and the Vortex Strike Eagle scope, I said that that was probably like the best budget setup you can get for a serious hunter who's also on a big budget. I feel like this is probably that pair of binos as well. So this is probably the best pair of binos you can get for under $600, and is also the best, in my opinion, bino for the serious hunter on a budget. Now, maybe someone would argue that the Vortex Razor or the Swarovski is the bare minimum. I don't think so. I feel like this has been treating me very well for the last 3 years I've had it, and I've shot quite a bit of stuff, and I don't feel like this is hindering my ability to do that. Now, a brighter pair, a sharper image pair would probably have the advantage, but I don't feel like this particular pair gives me a disadvantage because it's not good enough. By that, I guess I mean there's a difference between, being at a disadvantage versus having something give you an advantage. So I think some of those clearer binos will definitely give you an advantage, and if you can afford that, you should buy that. But don't feel like owning these will put you at a significant disadvantage at harvesting game, because I really feel like these are not in any way, shape, or form a bad pair of binos or something that someone could be upset with or unhappy with or frustrated with or potentially lose an animal because of. So keep that in mind when you're shopping around. I definitely recommend this pair. I think this pair is perfect for 99% of America's hunters. If you're not getting paid to hunt for a living, then you don't need the best of the best of the best binos. This is good enough for most American hunters. What else? I have a horse behind me right now that I tried putting a bear on earlier this year, and he still doesn't really trust me. It was a little traumatic. So, but we're getting over it. Overall, highly recommend. You guys are going to love them if you're on the fence about buying them. I use them. They work great for me. I don't feel like I need to upgrade anytime soon. I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage for having them. I feel like this Viper HD is a phenomenal pair of binoculars and will suit most people just fine. So, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all the things, give me a review, a comment, whatever. If you have any questions, let me know. I read everything. I respond to everything. So thanks for all the support so far, guys, and stay tuned for more. Thanks.